Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Shad, and today we are here to talk about Jeremy Sohan, and more specifically why I think that point Jeremy Sohan has been and will be a net positive for the entire Spurs team. There has been plenty of feedback on Twitter and social media in general and national TV about the Spurs putting Jeremy Sohan, who has never played point guard in his life, as the starting PG after they draft Victor Wembanyama, and it sparked a lot of conversation, a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. It's pretty, I want to say it's split even, but not really, because there's more people that are like totally against it and see it as a totally negative thing more than the people that see it as a positive thing. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't see it as a negative at one point. I definitely did. But after letting it sit, after letting it marinate for 20 plus games, I have some updated thoughts. And I know I've never made videos about this and I haven't really tweeted about it either. So you're kind of seeing my thoughts on this for the first time. But this is all about transparency. I'm not going to lie to y'all and be like, or act like I was ahead of the curve. Like, oh, I thought this was good the whole time. That's not me. I won't lie to y'all like that. I have some updated thoughts and I would like to talk about those today. So we'll cover two main points about this whole thing, and hopefully the video won't be too long. Reason number one why I see it as a net positive for the Spurs is because it's skill development or skill set development for Jeremy Sohan himself. You know, the phrase diamonds are created under pressure, and it can be translated into so many different fields and so many areas of life. And translating it into the NBA, you draft Wemby, you're going down a different path as a team, right? And we're going to talk about that point specifically in more detail later on in the video, because I do have it in my notes. But you kind of at a point where you should be embracing like uniqueness and doing something different moving forward with your lineup. Do you want Jeremy Sohan to be better, right? That's a main question that a lot of people are asking. Like, yeah, you're pointing out that he is bad, or like he's not really a point guard. Do you want to see him get better? Putting him in situations where he has to be better is, I think, the most effective way of making sure that he does actually improve as a player and that some of his skill set is more fleshed out. You want him to be a better scorer, right? We've all talked about it. We've all seen the comments like, bro has no spacing. He can't really shoot. Like, why is he point guard? Like, this is detrimental to the team, yada, yada. You want to make him a better scorer. You put him in a situation where he has to be a ball handler and a scorer at times. You're not asking him to score 25 or 20 points even. You're asking him to score a little bit. And we can reference the 33-point game that he had a couple weeks ago, where not using really much perimeter scoring, he was still able to put up 30 points by creating constant pressure on the rim. That is a positive right there in terms of him being a scorer and someone who can put the ball in the bucket. He's not going to be a knockdown shooter. He's not going to be a space creator or a shot creator on the perimeter. That's just not who he's going to be. And just remember that this point guard experiment, I don't think is going to be full time. So just remember that as we talk about this video and in your analysis of Jeremy Sohan moving forward. We can reference a couple games this season where he's had, for example, 9 assists to 1 turnover versus the Suns in a very rare W for the Spurs, or 7 assists to his 1 turnover versus the Clippers a couple weeks ago. We can look at these sort of games and appreciate the flashes, right? Notice and actually acknowledge the flashes. He is 20 years old. The man is 20 years old. They are experimenting for the first 25 games at least what he would look like as a point guard next to someone who is a unicorn. And just from an individual standpoint, like, I think the goal with this experimentation and playing him alongside Wemby as a point guard, it's, yes, to develop his own skill set, and it's also to make him a better secondary playmaker. Someone who can be a better Swiss Army knife for this offense that's going to be looking incredibly different for the next X amount of years that Wemby is there. It's all about making sure you are using the players in different situations, different lineups, to make sure that you know what's best for your stars moving forward. And I know I've been talking about Wemby a lot, but Devin Vassell is very much a part of what this future is going to be for this team. You know, you're asking questions like, is Wemby best at the 4 or the 5? Like, does his best come with Jeremy Sohan at the 4 or the 1? Does it come when Trey Jones is starting? Does it come when Keldon is off the bench? Like, you're asking so many different questions, and you have to answer them, right? You can't just be like, oh, I think of this, but if we don't even try it, then you don't know if it's going to work. And experiments take time. And fortunately, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but the Spurs can afford to do this, by the way. I think it's really easy to look at Jeremy Sohan's games and be like, Oh, low assist number this, low assist number that. Oh, high turnover game here. Oh, a negative assist to turnover ratio. Like, what the hell is he doing at point guard? And while I think that he should not be there full time, I think he works better as a utility forward because he's a pretty good defender. He can pass the ball, and he has enough of a cutting ability and off ball rim pressure ability to be a useful power forward in today's league. So I don't mind him being in the starting lineup at all. Point guard long term, that's a different discussion, and that segues into my second point. My second main point about this is that at this time specifically, I think it's smart to embrace flexibility and versatility and variability in your lineups. You know, this day and age is all about positionless basketball, right? Which is why I think it confuses me, but I get it about why people are so vehemently against this idea. Because I think eventually you do want more of a traditional point guard to play alongside Wemby if you're looking more toward winning for a season. I think you want someone who's able to facilitate the pick and roll, to be able to tell Wemby, hey, this is when you pop, this is when you roll, hey, go right here, slow down a little bit on the roll until I get to this spot so that you have a lane and that we time up on the lot. Whatever it is, right? I want that type of mindset for his point guard moving forward. But as of right now, I think in terms of adding flexibility to the roster and to the lineups and stuff, if you watch some Spurs game, you see a lot of different players starting to bring the ball up the floor. Malachi Branham, obviously Jeremy Sohan, Victor Wembanyama brings the ball up the floor. Zach Collins is a passing hub in the half court. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, like there's so many different guys getting the ball and being forced to make plays and initiate offense. And in the long run, because the ball is being put in everyone's hands, it's good. I think it's really good. Like, and on the court, you know, offensively, everyone's getting a chance. Like, it's a really share the ball mentality. It's really Spurs basketball like we knew it back in the mid 2000s and the early 2000s. Like, share the ball. This is a team that, despite being so god-awful, is third in the league in assists. They average 29 assists per game. For a team that doesn't necessarily have a great playmaker, for a team that doesn't necessarily start a traditional point guard. Like, a lot of the times it's Devin Vassell, Trey Jones sharing a lot of the responsibility. Of course, Jeremy Sohan's there as well. It's very interesting what they're trying to do, right? And I think one of the positives, you know, tying back to the assist numbers, we're seeing different players on this team average career highs in assists. Keldon Johnson went from 2.9 to 4.3 this year. Zach Collins went from 2.9 to 3.5. Jeremy Sohan went from 2.5 his rookie year to 4 assists per game this year. While it may not be translating to wins because of the overall lack of talent and just the matchups and stuff like that, every reason why we know the Spurs are losing, Point Sohan is producing some positives that I think people need to harp on just a little bit more. And I want to double back again to the point about wanting players to get better by putting pressure on them. And I know I talked about it with just Jeremy at the start of this video, but expanding that to different players on the roster, like, it's a play by committee. I can't say win by committee. They ain't fucking winning nothing. It's a game by committee style of team right now. And a lot of people are like, damn, give Wemby the ball, bro. It is hilarious, by the way, seeing tweets saying, like, when Wemby has a mismatch in the post against a point guard and like Zach Collins takes and misses another three-pointer. And it's like, it is hilarious to see those tweets. And I think seeing it in game makes it even funnier, but also, like, trying to remember the positive of it is that, you know, Zach Collins is shooting damn near 4 threes a game. And if he's going to be a part of this team long term, or if he's going to be a trade piece, instilling that confidence that, like, hey, we shoot the ball. Please continue to shoot the ball. We're going to scheme for you to shoot the ball. And while he is shooting an abysmal percentage, the attempts are there, the tries are there, and I think that's going to scale positively long term. And let me know if I'm reaching too much. I'm really trying to, like, pick out the positives of this because it is such a young team. Like, the standards should not be high at all. Wemby came in, he got drafted, and people thought they were going to win 30 games. they was not going to win 30 games. They were never going to win 30 games this year. Keldon Johnson has popped off multiple times this season. He's gone for 26, 27, and 28 points. Devin Vassell has popped off for 36, most recently. 29 points, 25 on other occasions. Wemby has already popped off several times with 38, 30, and 29 games, multiple 5+ block games, and 7+ stock games. Everyone individually, regardless of if it's coming together as a team into the win column, is showing signs of improvement as individuals. How it ties together is a question for 2 to 3 years down the line, because that's how long they can afford to do this type of experimentation, do this type of everyone touches the ball, everyone has an opportunity every possession to get theirs. Every night, it's not just going to be Wemby. It's not just going to be Devin Vassell. While I think it will be eventually as Wemby gets better, as Devin Vassell gets better, like it's going to be those two. I think right now, leaning on the fact that you do want to develop everyone right now, lean into that fact, despite who you have on the roster, that's going to bode well for the team moving forward. And I think that's really the main positive coming out of this Point Sohan thing, is that it's creating an environment where everyone has to produce in multiple different ways. If you didn't pass the ball last year, you gonna damn well pass the ball this year, because guess what? We don't have a point guard on the floor. And just remember that this team ain't supposed to win nothing right now. It ain't about winning. It's about skill set development. It's about getting players comfortable in different types of situations. It's about figuring out where the hell is Wemby going to be his best version at? And with who is he going to be on the floor with when you're trying to utilize his best? Those are the questions that the Spurs want to answer right now. They do not give a singular fuck about winning. I can almost guarantee you that at this very moment, this season, they have no sight set on the play-in or the playoffs. I'm very confident in that. They want their players to get better. And I think Point Jeremy Sohan emphasizing the players that you see as part of this long-term future, it's good for the team. And it's good on Pop for embracing this progressive movement and being brave enough to even try Point Jeremy Sohan. Like, if this experiment ends up petering out over the next few weeks, then at least they can say they tried.